Joining us now to discuss the report, Ronald Kessler. He is the author of The First Family Detail. Secret Service agents reveal the hidden lives of the president. Ron, we welcome you back to America's Forum with the acknowledgement that you were a prophet on this. You have been with us before, calling for just about everything this report is calling to happen. So you were right. How does it feel?
Well, I really fear that there's going to be an assassination regardless, because there's so much corner cutting. And given that, it's still hard to feel sanguine about all this. But you're absolutely right. These recommendations are right on. And number one is leadership that will change the culture that comes from the outside, that's not beholden to agents within the agency, and that will make a real difference. That's what you would do with any organization that's in trouble. You bring in a new outside CEO or director. It's not that complicated. You just have to get the right person. I think if they get someone with a track record of changing the culture, imposing accountability, you're going to be in a very good spot. And I'm proposing a former high-ranking FBI official. I'm not naming one because I might jinx it, but I think a former high-ranking FBI official would be just right, given the fact that the FBI has kept us safe since 9/11.
So, Ronald, do you think the organization will actually listen and act on those recommendations? And is there anything missing in those that you think needs to be included?
Well, this was a report to the Secretary of Homeland Security, Jay Johnson, and he has endorsed the findings, and he has the authority to make the changes because the Secret Service is part of DHS. So I think that will happen. The only question is who will they choose as director. Barack Obama has seemed to choose people whom he knows, who have protected him, so he feels grateful to them. That's why he chose the acting director, Joseph Clancy. But yet, look at what Clancy did when he testified on the Hill recently. He really was a spectacle, or an example of everything that's wrong with the Secret Service. He was asked, well, how come the Secret Service issued a statement saying that Gonzalez was apprehended at the door? And how come the Secret Service issued a statement saying that he was not armed? Those are lies. And this guy beat around the bush, covered up, said, well, that was inadvertent, there were just mistakes. And then he was asked, well, how do you know? And he said, I don't know. I don't know how this happened. So just an example of a cover-up mentality that has led to all these problems.
Well, Ron, worse than that, it sounds as if it's just a, quote, bureaucratic attitude, a bureaucratic mindset instead of a law enforcement security mindset. How on earth did the Secret Service deteriorate in this manner? You got about a minute to respond to that.
It really began to go downhill after DHS took it over in 2003, when it just became more political. It had to fight more for budgets. Of course, if they went to Obama and said, hey, we need twice the money, we're spending $1.5 billion a year, that's the price of one stealth bomber, and we're not only protecting the president, the vice president, but investigating counterfeiting and financial crimes, of course the president and Congress would go along with it. But they don't do that. They have this attitude of, we make do with less. They're actually proud to spend less money. They promote people into management who are obsequious, who will say everything is fine. It's just a really sick culture, and hard to believe. I've written books, as you know, also on the FBI and the CIA, and the caliber of management within the Secret Service is poor compared with FBI and CIA.
And Ron, for that reason, we're going to ask you to stay with us. I mean, when you predict an assassination attempt, that's something. God forbid that happens. Ron Kessler is coming back. You stay with us here on America's Forum.
And we want to welcome again, who's rejoining us, Ron Kessler, author of The First Family Detail. Secret Service agents reveal the hidden lives of the presidents. Ron, thanks for staying with us.
Sure, thank you.
Ron, let's discuss the training that goes into becoming an agent. According to this report, the average special agent on the president's protective detail received just 42 hours of training in 2013. The uniformed division officers got an average of just about 25 minutes of training each. Seems like right there, that's a huge red flag.
Oh, it's absurd. And actually, those figures cover up the real story because very often they claim that they put them into training and then at the last minute they say there isn't time and so there's no training. I mean, it's just when you look at any police department, when you look at the FBI, they have annual brush ups, annual training. Secret Service does not do that. As an example of this mentality, when Bradley Cooper, the actor, went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner where Obama spoke, a high-ranking Secret Service official in New York ordered agents at the Washington Hilton to let Bradley Cooper and his SUV into the secure space in front of the hotel where only Secret Service vehicles were allowed, and even they had to be screened for explosives because anybody could attach an explosive to the underside of a car, even a Secret Service vehicle. So you can imagine the dismay of these agents who are there to protect the president, who will take a bullet for the president, and yet they're being told, hey, forget about the most basic security as a favor to Bradley Cooper and his security people. That mentality, that cover-up attitude is exactly what has led to these problems.
Ron, the report also suggests that the Uniform Division needs to add at least 200 officers, while at least 85 new special agents are needed. Do you agree with that amount?
Well, I think it should be much, much more. The whole infrastructure of the Secret Service is crumbling. You saw that they couldn't even hear on their radios when Gonzalez entered the White House grounds. They don't use the most sophisticated detection systems that are available today. And honestly, given that the budget of the Secret Service is $1.5 billion, equal to the price of a stealth bomber, and yet it's so important because assassination threatens democracy. I think that really you could double the size of the Secret Service budget, and you'd be a lot better off.
We've got a little less than a minute and a half, and the panel said it heard from 50 Secret Service agents and 120 outside officials, all of them saying the service is too insular. The culture of the Secret Service, then and now, has there been an obvious deterioration? What kind of standards should they maintain? And you got a minute to answer this, Ron.
Yeah. Well, it always has been insular. It has this great reputation. There's a lot of pride, but with that goes this cover-up mentality. So I don't think that this is something new. But as an example, the FBI encourages agents to go get academic courses in the course of their careers. They're paid for, paid sabbaticals. The Secret Service does none of that. And in fact, they look at anybody who does that as a traitor, someone who is not loyal to the Secret Service. It's just one thing after another.
We'll have to leave it right there. The name of the book, First Family Detail. Secret Service Agents Reveal the Hidden Lives of the Presidents. Author Ronald Kessler. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your appearance here on America's Forum. Still to come, Stephen J.J. Weissman on computer hacking and holiday shopping. Stay with us.